Title: 5 Problems with Electric Cars in Australia. We're told this is the future of driving in Australia. A clean, green, and cheap alternative to the good old petrol car. It's the dream, right? Silent cruising, instant acceleration, and never visiting a servo again. But after driving thousands of kilometers in an EV across this massive country, I've found the reality can be very different. The glossy brochures and slick marketing don't tell you the whole story. There are 5 major problems that can turn the Aussie EV dream into a logistical and financial headache. And these are the hard truths you need to hear before you even think about buying one. The first one is that shocking sticker price, and the illusion that it's the only big number you need to worry about. I've properly lived the EV life. I've planned successful road trips and had others turn into unexpected adventures. I've spent hours on charging apps, chatted with countless other owners, and watched my running costs like a hawk. This is a real-world report from the driver's seat of Australia's EV transition. So let's get into the first, and most obvious, problem. The biggest hurdle for anyone wanting to go electric in Australia is the price tag. Let's not beat around the bush. Electric cars are expensive here. While we've seen some aggressive price cuts and more affordable models are hitting the market, a like-for-like EV almost always carries a hefty premium over its petrol cousin. We Aussies are careful with our cash, and the car market is no exception. We saw proof of this when certain tax incentives for plug-in hybrids were removed and demand fell off a cliff. For the average Australian family, the numbers have to add up. The industry has a problem with how it talks to buyers. For too long, the marketing has been aimed at tech-savvy early adopters. But most people just need reliable wheels for work, school runs, and weekend trips. They need to see clear financial benefits, not just the dream. You can't sell a cheaper future if today's ticket price is too high. So, you've stretched the budget and driven your shiny new EV home. The big spending is over, right? Not so fast. Your next bill is about to be a nasty surprise: your insurance. Insuring an electric vehicle in Australia can be seriously expensive. Research in 2025 found that the average comprehensive policy for a full EV is around $2,134 a year, with popular models like the Tesla Model 3 attracting premiums over $3,300. That can be significantly more than a similar petrol car. Why so high? Insurers point to the car's higher market value, the need for specialized technicians, and more expensive parts, especially if the battery is involved. This isn't a minor detail. It's a huge part of the total cost of ownership. The thousands you might save on petrol can be almost completely wiped out by a massive insurance bill, a hidden cost many new owners don't see coming. Now for the issue that gives every EV owner nightmares when they venture beyond their driveway: the Great Australian Public Charging Network, or as I call it, public charging roulette. The numbers sound great. We have over 1,300 public fast charging sites across the country, and that figure is growing. But the reality on the ground tells a very different story. It's not about the quantity of chargers, it's about their reliability. Here's how public charging roulette works. You pull up to a charger on an empty battery only to find it's out of order. So you limp to the next one, and all the bays are full, with a line of other stressed out drivers. Or maybe the charger just decides it doesn't want to talk to your car today. For people in apartments or homes without off-street parking who rely completely on this network, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a constant source of anxiety. And I want to hear from you. What's your experience been with public charging in Australia? Have you been left stranded, or have you found it easy? Let me know your biggest frustration in the comments below. It's a conversation we all need to be having. This brings us to the single biggest fear for any potential EV buyer: range anxiety. In Australia, it's completely justified. Not just because our country is huge, but because the range figure on the box is rarely what you get on the road. Recent real-world testing by the Australian Automobile Association (AAA) revealed a big gap between advertised and actual performance. They found new EVs often fall short of their official lab-tested range, with some models having a much larger gap. A BYD Atto 3, for instance, delivered a range 23% lower than what was promised. A Tesla Model 3 fell short by 14%. Why the difference? Because a lab isn't the real world. That official number is calculated in perfect conditions. Out here, things like hot weather, hills, and even how much you crank the aircon can slash your battery's range. In a small country, a 20% range drop is an annoyance. In Australia, it can be the difference between making it to the next town or being stuck on the side of a highway. The final problem is the one that hits your wallet when it's time to sell. What is your EV actually worth? The second-hand EV market in Australia used to be a minefield, but things are starting to stabilize. For popular models from brands like Tesla or BYD, depreciation rates are starting to look a lot more like their petrol equivalents. However, for less common models, the resale market can still be volatile. Adding to the confusion is the government's new Vehicle Efficiency Standard, or NVS, which kicked off on January 1, 2025. It's designed to push car makers to sell more efficient cars, but it creates uncertainty about future prices. And with talk of a road user charge to replace the fuel excise tax, the financial future is murky. This mix of a maturing resale market and shifting government rules makes buying an EV a significant financial bet. So, what's the final verdict? Should you avoid buying an electric car in Australia? Not necessarily. But you have to go in with your eyes wide open. The dream of a cheap, simple future is powerful, but the reality right now is more complicated. We've talked about the high upfront costs, surprise insurance bills, the roulette of a growing but patchy public charging network, real-world range that doesn't always match the label, and the shifting ground of resale values and government rules. Electric vehicles are a massive part of our future. For a city driver with a garage and predictable trips, they can be fantastic. The tech is amazing, and they are brilliant to drive, but the ecosystem that supports them in Australia is still a work in progress. Before you sign that contract, be honest about your situation. Do your own sums, and don't just fall for the hype. Because right now, the Australian EV dream still comes with some very real problems. For more real-world tests and honest reviews on what it's really like to own these cars in Australia, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.